It's 3 p.m. You haven't eaten since lunch. Your hands are restless, your focus is gone, and something in your brain is screaming for something sweet. You didn't fail willpower. Your gut sent the wrong chemical signal because it's been running on a fraction of the fiber it was built for, possibly your entire life. There's one fiber that can reset that signal. It costs less than 50 cents a day, takes under 10 seconds to prepare, and it activates the same fat-burning hormone that Ozempic targets through a completely natural mechanism your body already knows how to use. What most videos skip is why it works so fast. That's exactly what we're covering today. And by the end, you'll understand your own hunger in a way that makes the cravings make sense and stoppable. Quick gut check before we go further. How many grams of fiber did you actually eat yesterday? Take a real guess. Most people think they're doing fine. The number, when they look it up, is almost always a shock. Keep that number in mind, because everything that follows is going to explain it. Picture this. It's mid-afternoon. You ate a reasonable lunch 2 hours ago, and yet your brain is locked onto the vending machine down the hall, like it hasn't seen food in days. That moment, that specific maddening moment, has a precise biological cause, and it has almost nothing to do with discipline. When you eat a meal low in fiber, sugar from that meal floods your bloodstream fast. Your pancreas fires a large spike of insulin to bring it back down. It overcorrects. Blood sugar drops below baseline, and your brain, detecting that drop, reads it as an emergency and sends out a craving signal that feels almost impossible to override. For the viewer sitting in that chair at 3 p.m., this matters because the craving isn't a character flaw. It's a feedback loop, a broken feedback loop, driven by a missing input. That input is fiber. This week, before you reach for anything sweet in the afternoon, pause and ask, when did I last eat fiber at that meal? The answer will tell you more than a calorie count ever could. Your cravings aren't weakness, they're a missing fiber alarm. Researchers studying one of the last true hunter-gatherer populations on Earth, the Hadza people of Tanzania, found something that reframes almost everything we think we know about modern disease. The Hadza eat wild fruits, fibrous tubers, and roots pulled straight from the ground. Their average daily fiber intake runs between 100 and 150 grams. The result? Virtually no obesity, no type 2 diabetes, and almost no cardiovascular disease in the population. Now look at the average American, roughly 15 grams of fiber per day. The official recommendation, which is already a conservative floor, sits at 25 to 38 grams. So most people aren't just missing the target, they're not even in the same conversation as the target. And they're nowhere near what the human body spent thousands of years expecting. That gap between what your biology was calibrated for and what it's actually receiving is not a minor shortfall. It's a system running without a critical input, and the downstream effects show up as the exact diseases most people assume are just an inevitable part of getting older. Find one high-fiber whole food you actually enjoy, lentils, pears, oats, and add a single serving to tomorrow's meals. Not as a fix, just as a data point for how your afternoon feels. A 100-gram fiber gap doesn't cause discomfort, it causes disease. Here's something nobody puts on a nutrition poster. To hit even 38 grams of fiber from whole foods alone, you would need to eat approximately 6 cups of cooked broccoli, or 8 medium apples, or 12 cups of raw spinach, every single day, on top of everything else you eat. That's not a lifestyle adjustment. That's a part-time job. And yet, that number, 38 grams, is still less than a quarter of what the Hadza eat without thinking about it, because their entire food environment is built around fibrous plants. Ours is built around processed grain, added sugar, and ingredients engineered specifically to go down easy, with almost no fiber left in them by the time they reach your plate. The math isn't a personal failure. It's a structural problem. The food system removed the fiber and then handed you willpower as the solution. That's like draining the oil from an engine and then blaming the driver when it seizes. The engine needs oil. Your gut needs fiber. Neither one negotiates. pull up the nutrition label on one processed food you eat regularly this week: a cereal, a protein bar, a wrap. Check the fiber number. If it's under 3 grams per serving, you've just found one place the system is failing you quietly. They removed the fiber. Then they sold you willpower. So if whole foods can't realistically close the gap, why don't fiber supplements work? You may have tried one. Bloating, cramping, a bathroom experience you'd rather forget. And then you put the container under the sink and never touched it again. But here's the question worth asking. Was it fiber that failed you? Or was it a specific type of fiber that was never going to work in the first place? Most fiber supplements and most high-fiber packaged foods use a fiber called inulin. It's inexpensive to manufacture and easy to add to protein bars, yogurts, and breakfast cereals. The problem is that inulin is what researchers classify as rapidly fermented. The moment it reaches your gut, bacteria attack it fast, producing significant amounts of gas in a short window. That's the bloating. That's the cramping. That's the reason millions of people decided fiber just wasn't for them. Psyllium husk is structurally different. It comes from the seed husks of a plant called Plantago ovata, and instead of fermenting rapidly, it forms a thick, slow-moving gel inside your digestive tract. That gel is barely fermented at all. It moves through your system gradually, doing its work quietly, without the gas production that made inulin so miserable for so many people. Before buying any fiber product, flip it over and check the ingredient list. If inulin, chicory root, or fructooligosaccharides appear near the top, put it back. Those are the culprits most people never identified. Inulin ferments fast and loud. Psyllium gels slow and silent. Maria Fernandez, a nutritional biochemist at Texas Women's University, spent years studying what happens inside the digestive tract when psyllium gel forms. And her findings keep showing up in meta-analyses because the numbers are hard to argue with. A large pooled analysis of randomized controlled trials found that people taking approximately 10 grams of psyllium daily lost an average of 4.5 pounds and nearly an inch off their waist, without changing anything else about their diet or exercise routine. That result comes from 3 simultaneous mechanisms firing at once. First, the gel physically slows digestion, meaning sugar from your meal enters your bloodstream gradually instead of in a spike. Second, some of the dietary fat you just consumed gets trapped inside the gel and carried out of your body before it can be absorbed. Third, and this is the part that most people never hear, as that gel stretches the walls of your intestine while moving through, it triggers the release of a hormone called GLP-1. GLP-1 travels to your brain and delivers one clear message: you are full, stop eating. It's the same hormone that drugs like Ozempic are engineered to mimic. Psyllium activates it naturally through a mechanical stretch response your gut has been capable of all along. It just needed the right input to fire. Add 1 teaspoon of psyllium powder to at least 10 ounces of water. Stir immediately and drink it 30 minutes before your largest meal tonight. Just once. Notice what happens to your hunger before the meal ends. 1 gel, 3 systems, no prescription required. Before we cover the part most videos miss entirely, why belly fat resists diet and exercise after 40, and the exact mechanism psyllium targets that willpower never reaches, hit subscribe. Every week we break down one simple research-backed tool like this. What's coming next ties it all together. Think about the last time you tried to eat healthier and specifically reached for something marketed as high fiber: a protein bar with 12 grams of fiber, a fiber-fortified yogurt, a gut health cereal with a green leaf on the box. Felt virtuous? Maybe felt terrible 2 hours later. That gap between the promise and the reality has a name: inulin. It is the fiber additive that shows up in roughly 70% of fortified food products because it's tasteless, cheap to produce, and inflates the fiber number on a nutrition label without changing how the food tastes. What the label doesn't tell you is that inulin ferments so rapidly in your colon that a single high dose can produce more gas than a full plate of beans in under 3 hours. A 2017 study published in the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics found that participants consuming added inulin reported significantly higher rates of bloating and cramping compared to those consuming naturally occurring fiber from whole foods. Psyllium produces none of that response at therapeutic doses because its gel structure resists bacterial fermentation almost entirely. The contrast isn't subtle. It's the difference between a fuel that burns clean and one that detonates on contact. If your gut is the engine, inulin is the wrong grade of fuel. Psyllium is what the engine was actually built to run on. Check every fiber-containing packaged product in your kitchen this week. If inulin or chicory root extract appears in the first 5 ingredients, that product is likely the reason fiber has a bad reputation in your house. Inulin inflates your label. Psyllium improves your body. Here is the mechanism that most fiber conversations never reach, and it's arguably the most important one for anyone who has dieted, exercised, done everything right, and still couldn't shift the weight around their midsection. The problem in those cases is almost never calories. It's insulin resistance. When your cells stop responding efficiently to insulin, your pancreas compensates by producing more of it. Chronically elevated insulin levels send one persistent signal to your fat cells, particularly those around your abdomen. Hold on, do not release. It doesn't matter how large a calorie deficit you run, elevated insulin is a biochemical lock on abdominal fat, and willpower has no key for it. This is where psyllium's most underreported result comes in. A meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that regular psyllium supplementation reduced insulin resistance by as much as 58%. Not 8%, not 18%, 58%. That reduction works through 2 pathways. The gel slows glucose absorption, which flattens the insulin spikes that drive resistance over time. And short-chain fatty acids produced during mild psyllium fermentation improve cellular insulin sensitivity directly. If you are over 40 and carrying weight specifically around your midsection that hasn't responded to diet changes, ask your doctor about a fasting insulin test, not just blood glucose. Glucose tells you where you are. Insulin tells you why you're stuck. Insulin resistance locks belly fat. Psyllium turns the key. Imagine paying $1,200 a month for a drug that teaches your body to feel full faster, eat less without misery, and burn stored fat more efficiently. Now imagine your gut already has the biological machinery to trigger that exact same response, and it's been waiting for one specific mechanical input to switch it on. That input is stretch. When psyllium gel moves through your small intestine, it physically expands the intestinal walls. Specialized cells lining those walls, called L cells, detect that stretch and respond by secreting GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1, directly into your bloodstream. GLP-1 then crosses into your brain, binds to receptors in the hypothalamus, and switches off the hunger signal. Appetite drops. Cravings quiet. The urge to keep eating past fullness simply doesn't arrive with the same force. Ozempic works by mimicking this hormone synthetically and preventing its breakdown so levels stay elevated longer. Psyllium works by prompting your body to produce it naturally through the same mechanical pathway your digestive tract has always had. The research here is still evolving. Psyllium won't produce the dramatic GLP-1 elevation of a pharmaceutical dose, but for people who cannot access or afford those medications, this is a real, documented physiological mechanism, not a metaphor, not a marketing claim. By 2027, GLP-1 receptor research is expected to reshape how mainstream medicine approaches fiber recommendations entirely. Early clinical guidelines from the European Association for the Study of Obesity already flag dietary fiber as a first-line GLP-1 support strategy. Getting ahead of that now costs 50 cents a day. Your gut can trigger Ozempic's hormone. It just needs the signal. 10 grams per day is the threshold where the research shows consistent, measurable results. Fat loss, cholesterol reduction, blood sugar stabilization. That translates to roughly 2 to 3 rounded teaspoons of psyllium powder, split across 2 or 3 servings. Here is the dual fact most people get backwards. Starting at the full dose causes bloating. Starting too low and never ramping up means you never reach the threshold where results appear. Both mistakes lead to quitting. The fix is a 2-week ramp. Begin with half a teaspoon once daily for 3 days. Move to 1 full teaspoon for 4 days. Then add a second serving the following week. By day 14, you're at the therapeutic dose without the digestive drama. 2 weeks, 10 grams. Timing matters more than most people realize. Take psyllium 30 to 60 minutes before your largest meal. For most people, that's dinner, when blood sugar spikes are physiologically at their highest and fat storage risk is greatest. Powder form is the most practical for daily use. Capsules require 20 to 30 per day to hit 10 grams, which is neither realistic nor sustainable. Water is not optional. It is mechanically part of how psyllium works. Use at least 10 ounces per serving, stir immediately, drink within 60 seconds of mixing. Then follow with a full second glass. Psyllium expands to over 20 times its dry size. Without adequate water, it compacts rather than gels, reversing every benefit described in this video. 2 weeks, 10 grams, 1 full glass after. David Sinclair, a longevity researcher at Harvard Medical School, has said publicly that the single most underrated intervention in preventive health is consistent dietary fiber. Not because it's glamorous, but because its effects compound quietly over weeks in ways that dramatic interventions rarely do. That compounding is exactly what week 1 of psyllium feels like from the inside. Day 1, half a teaspoon in 10 ounces of water before dinner. It tastes like almost nothing. Mild, earthy undertone, gone in 3 swallows. By day 3, something small but noticeable shifts. The pull toward the kitchen an hour after dinner is quieter. Not gone, but quieter. By day 7, at 1 full teaspoon, the afternoon blood sugar crash that used to arrive like clockwork starts arriving late, or not at all. By day 14, at the full 10-gram dose split across 2 meals, the feedback loop that was driving the 3 p.m. craving, the one we started this video with, has been interrupted at its source. The bloating some people feel in days 2 through 4 is not a warning. It is your gut microbiome encountering adequate fiber input, likely for the first time in years, and recalibrating. It passes. What replaces it is a digestive baseline most people have never experienced as adults, because most adults have never been adequately fibered. Stick to the ramp. Trust the 2 weeks. The results the research describes are not available at day 3. They are available at day 14 and beyond to the people who didn't quit at the first sign of adjustment. The results are at day 14. Most people quit at day 3. Here is what we covered. Your body expects 100 grams of fiber daily. It's getting 15. That gap breaks the hormonal loops controlling hunger, fat storage, and insulin response. Psyllium closes it fast. GLP-1 activated naturally, blood sugar flattened, insulin resistance cut by up to 58%. 10 grams a day, 30 minutes before your largest meal. 2 weeks to feel it, 50 cents to sustain it. Next video, what to add to your morning coffee to push fat burning further. Link is here. Not professional advice. Consult a qualified expert as needed.